My video game collection went from this to this over the course of 3 years in high school. Throughout this video, I will be describing some of the methods that I used to improve my collection in an effort to help everyone else out to improve theirs too. I started my collection around 2019, which is right before COVID caused the prices of video games to spike dramatically as a result of people being inside with nothing to do. Before I get into the methods of actually finding the games, I'd like to shout out an app called GameEye. GameEye has helped me dramatically, and of course this is not sponsored as I have 0 subscribers. However, I'd like to point out how helpful it is and how good of a resource I think it is. It allows you to track your collection so you can just easily see what you have and don't have when you're out, and it allows you to see prices for every game so you can easily see what is worth buying at a price that you find it and what isn't. One thing that the increase in video game prices has caused is a need to resell among collectors. Now, of course, you don't 100% need to resell, but it's pretty much required if you want to affordably build a collection without breaking the bank. Now, you don't have to resell video games per se, but I choose to mainly sell games because it's what I'm interested in, it's what I'm familiar with. If you're not sure what games to pick up to resell, just take a look at GameEye and it'll tell you the value, and eventually you'll have a pretty good idea of what has value and what doesn't. Now, for my number one tip to actually finding games, it's to take a look at your local GameStop. Now, don't kill me here, but GameStop always misprices their games. Whether it be PS4 games that they haven't updated the price on for years, or retro games that they for some reason decide to sell at a quarter of market value, there's always a chance that you'll walk into a GameStop and find something crazy. Here are just some of the games that I found underpriced at GameStop for half market value, or even less maybe. Now, buying some of these games, even at half of market value, can still get a little expensive. However, the number one workaround to that is to simply just trade stuff in. Now, GameStop always has a bad rap when it comes to trading in games and trade-in prices in general. However, in reality, their trade-in prices are good for some things and terrible for others. Here are some examples of really good trade-ins. Here are some examples of really bad trade-ins. It really depends on the game, so here's a list of some stuff to look out for, and if you have any other questions, you can always just check their website. Some other popular ways of finding games are through Goodwills and yard sales. Goodwills are extremely hit or miss because tons of people go into there looking for stuff to resell, which means tons of people are looking for games. So the odds that you'll find the good games are pretty slim. However, if you do find the games, then great. It's not going to be too often though. As for yard sales, they're even more hit or miss. There's a good chance that you drove out to some random bozo's house and found nothing. But then there's that one time out of the 15 that you find a box of Super Nintendo games or something crazy like that, which makes all the failed attempts worth it. Keep in mind that while going to yard sales, the person may not have games out, but they may have games in their basement. So if you're going to a yard sale, make sure to ask them if they have games before you leave. You never know. I have a flea market near my house. Now, a flea market is a giant field where a ton of vendors go out selling stuff they got from mainly storage units, and they don't look most stuff up. So there's a chance that they found games in their storage unit and they're selling them super cheap. This is my favorite way of looking for games because it's both super consistent and it has that potential to be great. There have been very few times where I've gotten nothing there, and there's also been times where I've gotten crazy stuff there. Before I end the video, I'd like to bring up a couple quick points to keep in mind. Not all sports games are worthless. All game stores can be underpriced. Keep in mind shipping and fees while you're selling things. And of course, the number one tip is to be early to the games. Finally, don't be afraid to ask for help. I had to have my parents drive me everywhere for years because I don't have my license. I put a ton of effort into this and it's definitely paid off. So just make sure not to get discouraged and to keep looking, and you'll find games eventually.